You are not watching a video about money. You are inside a ladder. At the bottom, one flat tire can erase your month. At the middle, your life looks stable, but slowing down feels dangerous. Near the top, people stop asking how you are and start asking what you can do for them. Every level of net worth gives you something, and every level takes something away. You start below zero, where your future already has a bill attached to it. Then you climb through survival, comfort, status, freedom, and isolation. At first, money is oxygen. Then it becomes proof. Then it becomes armor. And at the highest level, it becomes glass. You can see through it. Other people can see you through it, but touching anything normal becomes harder than it used to be. This is your life at every level of net worth. And by the time you reach the top, the question is not whether you became rich. It is whether you are still free. You begin below zero. Not poor in the abstract way people talk about poverty online. Not poor as a dramatic identity. Poor in the private, physical way. The kind where your phone lights up and your body reacts before your mind does. The kind where a banking notification can change your breathing. The kind where you open an app and see a number with a minus sign in front of it. Negative net worth means your life has already been borrowed from the future. You have not just spent money. You have spent future choices, future weekends, future sleep, future calm. Maybe it is student loans. Maybe it is credit cards. Maybe it is medical debt. Maybe it is a car loan on a car that still makes a strange sound when you turn left. The exact cause changes. The feeling is the same. You are not starting from zero. You are starting from under the floor. Every normal problem becomes a test. A parking ticket is not annoying. It is a threat. A broken tire is not inconvenient. It is a small disaster with rubber around it. A dentist appointment is not healthcare. It is a negotiation with pain. You learn to scan the world for prices. You know the cheapest gas station by memory. You know which grocery aisle has the real discount shelf. You know how long you can ignore an envelope before the next envelope gets darker. You become good at tiny calculations nobody sees. If you pay the card today, you can still buy groceries Friday. If you wait on the phone bill, maybe the late fee hits after payday. If you skip lunch twice, the overdraft does not happen. From the outside, this can look irresponsible. From the inside, it is strategy, a very tired kind of strategy. The hardest part is not the debt itself. It is what debt teaches your nervous system. It teaches you that tomorrow is already dangerous. It teaches you that rest is suspicious. It teaches you that every quiet moment might be the moment before another bill arrives. So even when nothing is happening, something is happening inside you. Your body keeps checking for the next hit. You are not lazy. You are not dramatic. You are living in a room where the future keeps knocking. And the strange thing is that debt can make your world feel both small and endless. Small because your choices shrink. Endless because the payment schedule stretches farther than your hope. You start thinking in survival units. Not years, not dreams, weeks, paychecks, due dates, minimum payments. You do not ask, what do I want? You ask, what can I survive until Friday? That question changes a person. It makes you careful. It makes you creative. It can also make you afraid of wanting anything at all, because wanting something costs energy. And energy is expensive when you are below zero. Still, you keep moving. You pay one small thing. You avoid one fee. You answer one phone call you wanted to ignore. You get through one more week without the whole structure falling. Nobody claps for this level. There is no visible achievement. There is no shiny milestone. But survival is still work. Invisible work is still work. And one day, if enough things go right and enough things stop going wrong, you reach the next level. You reach zero. It feels like freedom. But zero is not safety. Zero is just the floor. At this level, you are not underwater anymore. Your bills are paid, mostly on time. Your account does not always look like a warning sign. There may even be a few $100s left after rent, food, gas, insurance, and all the small subscriptions you keep promising to cancel. From the outside, this looks stable. From the inside, it feels like standing on thin ice in clean shoes. You are current, but you are not secure. That difference matters. Current means nothing is on fire today. Secure means a fire would not destroy you. You are not there yet. Your calendar becomes a financial map. Payday has a different color in your mind. Rent day has a different weight. The week before payday has its own personality. You know which plans can happen before the 15th. You know which invitations require a polite excuse. You know when a friend says, "We should grab dinner," and your first thought is not hunger. It is math. You may not say it out loud. You just smile and say, "Maybe next week." At the grocery store, you do not shop. You compare. You compare ounces. You compare coupons. You compare the version of you who wants the better thing with the version of you who has to get through the month. A small comfort becomes a moral debate. Coffee outside the house. Delivery after a long day. A birthday gift that does not look cheap. New shoes before the old ones are embarrassing. None of these things are luxury. But at this level, ordinary comfort still needs permission. The reward of this level is breathing room. Not peace. Breathing room. You can breathe for a week at a time, sometimes two, and that is not nothing. For the first time, you may have days when money is not the first thought in the morning. You may walk past an ATM without checking your balance. You may buy the brand you actually like, then feel strange about it afterward. That strange feeling matters. Because when you have lived below zero, your body does not immediately trust zero. It keeps expecting punishment. So you become cautious with happiness. You enjoy things halfway. You relax with one eye open. You celebrate, but only after checking the account again. At this level, the hidden danger is mistaking the absence of disaster for stability. Because nothing has gone wrong recently, you start to feel safe. But safety that depends on nothing going wrong is not safety. It is a pause. One car repair can still erase you. One sick week can still shake the whole month. One family emergency can still turn your careful plan into a pile of receipts. This is why broke but current can feel so confusing. You are doing better. But your body still lives like you are one phone call away from falling. And in a way, you are. People at higher levels sometimes underestimate this stage. They say, just save more. They say, just spend less. They say, just build an emergency fund. But they forget that at this level, the emergency fund is competing with emergencies. You are trying to build a wall while the weather is already hitting you. Still, something important begins here. You start to notice patterns. You learn where money leaks. You learn which small purchases are comfort and which ones are escape. You learn which people make you spend to belong. Most importantly, you learn that survival is not the same as freedom. That realization can be painful, but it can also become the first honest step upward, because the next level does not begin when you feel rich. It begins when one bad day stops being enough to destroy the month. The first safety buffer does not make you wealthy. It changes the way your body reacts to bad news. The first real cushion is not glamorous. It does not look like a mansion. It does not look like a sports car. It does not look like a person laughing on a beach with a laptop. It looks like a small number in a savings account that you do not touch. Maybe it is $5,000, maybe 10, maybe just enough to survive one ugly surprise without borrowing from someone or begging a bank for mercy. At this level, money starts doing something new. It starts standing between you and chaos. The first time you feel it, the moment is almost quiet. Your car needs a repair. The mechanic gives you the number. Your stomach tightens out of habit. Then you remember. You can pay it. You do not like paying it. But you can. That difference is enormous. For years, bad news was not just bad news. It was a trapdoor. Now bad news is still unpleasant, but it does not necessarily drop you into another life. That is what a buffer buys. Not happiness. Not status. Distance from panic. Your nervous system slowly notices. Emails feel less violent. Bills feel less personal. A delayed paycheck is still annoying, but it is not automatically catastrophic. For the first time, you learn that calm can be purchased indirectly. Not by buying things, by not being easy to crush. But this level has its own trap. Once you build a cushion, you may become terrified of losing it. The money that was supposed to free you can become something you guard, like a fragile animal. You check it too often. You feel guilty using it for the exact emergencies it was built for. You replace one kind of fear with another. Before, you feared having nothing. Now you fear going back. This is a different fear. A more sophisticated fear. But still fear. You may turn down small joys because they threaten the number. You may keep living like you are below zero, even when you are not. You may call it discipline. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is the old panic wearing better clothes. The first safety buffer reveals a truth about money. Money does not instantly change who you are. It gives your old self a new environment. If your old self learned danger, it will look for danger inside stability. If your old self learned scarcity, it may treat every dollar as evidence that disaster is still close. So, this level is not just financial, it is emotional rehabilitation. You are learning to believe that one mistake does not have to erase you. You are learning that a bill can be paid without becoming a personal failure. You are learning that money can be a tool, not only a warning system. And slowly, life expands. You choose the better apartment because the old one made you feel smaller every morning. You take a short trip and spend half of it enjoying yourself and half of it wondering if you should have stayed home. You buy a gift without needing it to be the cheapest acceptable version. These are small things, but small things are where a life becomes livable again. Still, the next temptation arrives quickly. Once you can survive surprises, you begin to want a life that looks stable from the outside. Not just private safety. Visible safety. A better car. A better address. A cleaner kitchen. A version of yourself that no longer looks like struggle. That desire is understandable. It can even be healthy. But the next level has a strange rule. The life that proves you are safe can become expensive to maintain. Now your life starts to look fine. That is the dangerous part. You may have a decent car, a steady job, a better apartment, or maybe a house. Your bills are not small, but they are predictable. Your kitchen has appliances that match. Your calendar has routines. Your friends and family may look at you and think, you made it. And in many ways, you did. You are not choosing between food and rent. You are not negotiating with overdraft fees. You are not living under the floor anymore. But stable middle-class life has a secret pressure. It often costs more than it looks like. The mortgage is not just a payment. It is a promise about who you will keep being. The car is not just transportation. It is a signal that you are no longer struggling. The daycare bill, the insurance bill, the retirement contribution, the home repair, the holiday travel, the family expectations. Together, they create a life that looks safe and feels strangely locked. You have more choices now. But many of those choices come with contracts. This is the level where people begin saying things like, we are comfortable, but money still disappears. And they are not lying. Because comfort expands quietly. It does not always feel like luxury. It feels like normal. A safer neighborhood becomes normal. A safer neighborhood becomes normal. Streaming services become normal. Better groceries become normal. A vacation becomes something the family expects because last year you proved it was possible. This is how a better life becomes a new baseline. And baselines are sticky. At this level, your fear changes shape. You are no longer only afraid of disaster. You are afraid of visible decline. You are afraid of going backward in a way people can see. You are afraid of moving to a worse place. You are afraid of telling your children no after teaching them yes. You are afraid that the life proving you are stable might expose how fragile you still feel. That fear can make you work harder. It can also make you quieter. You may stop telling the truth about stress because stress feels ungrateful. How can you complain when your life looks better than it used to? So you perform stability. You keep the kitchen bright. You keep the bills moving. You keep the calendar full. You keep smiling in photos taken in rooms that cost more than your old life could imagine. But sometimes, late at night, you open a retirement calculator. You change the numbers. You change them again. You wonder why a life this responsible still feels so exposed. That is the emotional center of this level. Responsibility does not always feel like freedom. Sometimes it feels like a beautiful cage you built one correct decision at a time. This does not mean the middle class is fake. It means stability has maintenance costs. Money buys routine. Routine buys dignity. Dignity buys peace. But every layer also asks to be protected. The hidden cost is that you may become loyal to the appearance of safety, even when that appearance begins to drain the actual thing. You keep the house but lose the weekends. You keep the title but lose the body. You keep the plan but lose the ability to ask if the plan still belongs to you. And then, if your income rises again, the world congratulates you. More money, more status, more options. But the next level has a brutal surprise. You can earn much more and still feel less free than before. At this level, the numbers look impressive. Your income is high. Your spending power is real. You can sit in restaurants where you no longer scan the right side of the menu first. You can replace a broken appliance without turning it into a family meeting. You can book the flight with better times instead of the cheapest pain. Small humiliations disappear. That part is real. Money removes many tiny forms of disrespect. It lets you choose convenience. It lets you avoid certain lines, certain delays, certain explanations. It lets you stop justifying every ordinary comfort. But high income can hide a low freedom life. Because now your money often arrives attached to pressure. The job pays well because it can reach you at night. The promotion pays well because it owns more of your attention. The client pays well because they believe your weekend is negotiable. The company pays well because your nervous system has become part of the compensation package. You make more money now, but your time has become the thing you sell most aggressively. At first, this feels worth it. Of course it does. You remember the old fear. You remember below zero. You remember the grocery store math. So when the world offers you more money, you say yes. You say yes to the role. Yes to the calls. Yes to the travel. Yes to the inbox at midnight. You tell yourself it is temporary. Just a few years. Just until the house is paid down. Just until the portfolio is stronger. Just until the next bonus. But the finish line moves when your lifestyle moves with it. The nicer car needs nicer insurance. The bigger house needs bigger repairs. The better school district becomes non-negotiable. The vacations become recovery from a life that now requires vacations. At this level, money can become both medicine and cause. It soothes the pressure it helped create. It buys relief from the stress required to earn it. It gives you a better hotel room in a city you did not want to visit. It gives you a beautiful kitchen where you answer emails standing up because you are too tired to sit down with your family. This is where status enters the story. Not loud status necessarily. Quiet status. The kind that changes what you feel allowed to wear, drive, eat, mention, and refuse. You do not want to look rich. You just do not want to look like you are falling behind the people in your new room. That room is expensive. The hidden fear at this level is slowing down. Not failing completely. Slowing down. Because slowing down might reveal that the life is more dependent on motion than you wanted to admit. The payments assume motion. The identity assumes motion. The respect assumes motion. Even your self-image may depend on being the person who can handle it. So you keep moving. You answer one more message. You take one more meeting. You miss one more dinner and tell yourself the family will understand later. You buy something nice as proof that the sacrifice is producing evidence. But evidence is not the same as meaning. The strange tragedy of this level is that you may finally be able to afford the life you wanted when you were younger while having less time to actually live it. That is why high earner is not the same as wealthy. Income is a river. Net worth is a reservoir. A high income can still leave you thirsty if every dollar has already been assigned a job, and then one day after years of movement, the reservoir becomes real. The number crosses a line you used to imagine. The first million changes the room. It also changes who enters the room with you. The first million does not always look like people expect. It may not look like a mansion. It may not look like a yacht. It may not look like a person throwing money at the sky. Often, it looks ordinary. A modest house, a reliable car, a retirement account that grew quietly, a business value on paper, an investment dashboard you check with a private seriousness. From the outside, almost nothing changes. Inside, everything does. Because the first million is not just a number, it is proof that your life can absorb more damage than it used to. A job loss is still serious. A market drop still hurts. A medical problem still matters. But the whole structure does not collapse at the first impact. You have resilience now. You have options. You have a wall between you and certain forms of chaos. That wall is powerful. It is also lonely in ways nobody warned you about. At this level, money enters conversations even when nobody says the word money. A relative calls with a problem. You listen carefully, but part of you is already wondering whether this is a conversation or a request. A friend mentions a business idea. You want to be supportive, but you feel the air change when they talk about investors. An adult child needs help. You want to help, But you also wonder whether help will become a habit, and whether saying no will make you look cold. This is when generosity becomes complicated. Before you could say, I cannot. Now you have to decide whether you should. That decision is heavier than people think. Because money gives you the power to solve some problems, but it does not give you a perfect way to know which problems should be solved by you. If you say yes too often, you become infrastructure. If you say no too often, you become the person money supposedly made selfish. Neither feels fair. The hidden cost of this level is that trust becomes more expensive. You start protecting information. You become vague about numbers. You learn to say, we're doing okay, instead of telling the truth. You notice who celebrates your success and who begins quietly measuring it. Maybe nobody means harm. Maybe they are just human. But money changes gravity. People lean differently around it. You also learn that $1 million is both a lot and not enough. It is a lot compared to where you began. It is not enough to make you invincible. It can protect you from many emergencies. It cannot protect you from divorce, lawsuits, long illness, bad investments, family fracture, or your own worst decision made with confidence. So the fear does not disappear. It becomes more technical. Before you feared an overdraft, now you fear concentration risk. Before you feared rent, now you fear sequence of returns. Before you feared one bill, now you fear one event big enough to make the fortress crack. The words get smarter. The body still understands them as danger. But this level also gives you something beautiful. It gives you the first real taste of optionality. You can walk away from certain people. You can decline certain work. You can choose the less desperate version of a decision. You can help someone without destroying yourself. You can look at a problem and say, this is painful, but it is not the end. That sentence is worth more than many luxuries. This is why the millionaire next door can be a quiet fortress. Not flashy, not invincible, but harder to break. And yet, after a certain point, wealth stops solving visible problems. It starts creating invisible ones. The next level is where work becomes optional. But identity does not disappear just because the paycheck stops being necessary. Financial independence sounds like the finish line. For years, maybe decades, it was the sentence you repeated under your breath. Once I have enough, I will be free. Once work is optional, I will become myself. Once the number is there, the pressure will finally leave. Then, one day, the number is there. Not infinite, not absurd, but enough. Enough that work is no longer required in the same way. Enough that you can leave the job. Enough that you can stop trading most of your week for money. The world expects this to feel like winning. Sometimes it does. The resignation meeting is strangely calm. Your boss may look surprised. Your coworkers may call you lucky. You may walk out with a box of things that once seemed important on your desk. A mug, a charger, a notebook full of tasks that no longer belong to you. The first morning without work feels unreal. You wake up and nobody needs you immediately. There is no meeting, no commute, no inbox that can claim your pulse before breakfast. At first, the silence feels like luxury. Then it begins to ask questions. Who are you when nobody's waiting for your output? Who are you when your calendar stops proving your value? Who are you when the thing you wanted to escape was also the thing that explained you to other people? This is the hidden shock of financial independence. When work becomes optional, you discover how much of your identity was rented from work. The title was not just a title. It was a social passport. The stress was not just stress. It was evidence that you mattered. The busyness was not just a burden. It was protection from the terrifying open space of choosing. Now the space is yours. And ownership can feel heavier than obligation. You can travel, but where do you actually want to go? You can rest, but how long before rest starts feeling like disappearance? You can say no, but what do you say yes to when survival no longer chooses for you? At this level, the fear changes again. You are not afraid of missing a payment. You are not afraid of one bad month. You are afraid of becoming irrelevant. You are afraid that money bought you out of the game, but not into a meaningful life. This does not mean freedom is fake. Freedom is real, deeply real. You can take a walk at 10 in the morning on a Tuesday. You can spend a slow afternoon with someone you love. You can stop pretending a pointless meeting is important. You can let your body recover from years of being useful on demand. These are not small gifts. They are enormous. But freedom is not the same as direction. Money can buy the space. It cannot automatically fill it with meaning. So the work at this level becomes internal, less visible, less applauded. You have to learn desire again. Not consumption, desire. You have to learn what you would do if nobody rewarded it. You have to learn who you enjoy when there is no networking value. You have to learn whether your ambition was a calling, a wound, a competition, or a disguise. Many people avoid this question by staying busy. They buy projects, they buy status hobbies, they buy investments that feel like games, they buy problems because problems are familiar. The old self still wants assignments. But if you can stay with the silence long enough, something else becomes possible. You may begin to build a life from choice instead of pressure. That is the real privilege of this level. Not that every day is joyful. Not that nothing hurts, but that more of your life can be chosen on purpose. Still, the highest levels are different. Past a certain point, money stops being only a tool. It becomes an environment. You do not just have wealth. You live inside systems built to manage it, protect it, grow it, and defend it. The highest levels do not feel like winning a game. They feel like living behind glass. At the top, money becomes architecture. It builds walls. It builds gates. It builds legal structures. It builds calendars other people manage. It builds rooms where your name arrives before you do. You are no longer simply a person with money. You are an estate, a balance sheet, a risk profile, a reputation, a target, a symbol other people project their needs onto. This is ultra-high net worth. From far away, it looks like unlimited freedom. From the inside, it can feel like unlimited management. There is a family office. There are lawyers. There are accountants. There are advisors whose job is to think about problems most people will never have. Tax exposure. Asset protection. Succession planning. Security. Reputation risk. Requisites. Lawsuits. Privacy. Control. The words are polished. The feeling underneath them is primitive. Protect the life. Protect the name. Protect the MAME. Protect the money. Protect the money. Protect yourself from the people who want to be near the money. At this level, almost anything can be arranged. Private rooms, better doctors, faster access, quiet entrances, separate spaces, distance from friction, distance from crowds, distance from chance. But distance has a cost. The more friction money removes, the less ordinary life touches you directly. The more access you have, the harder it becomes to know who is meeting you without an agenda. The more protection you buy, the more normal spontaneity disappears. You do not just make plans. Plans are made around you. You do not just go somewhere. People prepare for your arrival. You do not just help family. You design structures to prevent help from becoming dependency, conflict, or inheritance war. Every act of generosity needs architecture now. This is why the top can be lonelier than people imagine, not because nobody is around. Often, many people are around. But presence is not the same as ease. You may sit at a perfect table and miss cheap food with people who had no reason to impress you. You may walk through a silent house and remember a noisy apartment where nobody had much, but nobody had to wonder what your friendship was worth. You may receive invitations and quietly ask what is being asked of you underneath them. The old forms of normal become difficult to re-enter. You can buy privacy. But privacy can become isolation. You can buy security. But security can become suspicion. You can buy access. But access can make ordinary waiting feel foreign. You can buy influence. But influence can make honesty rare. At this level, money is no longer oxygen. It is no longer proof. It is no longer only armor. It is glass. You can see the world through it. The world can see you through it. But touch becomes complicated. And perhaps the strangest part is that the person who wanted wealth at the beginning may not recognize the life wealth finally built. The younger version of you wanted relief. They wanted the phone notification to stop hurting. They wanted the bill to be payable. They wanted to choose food without fear. They wanted one peaceful night. They did not necessarily want lawyers in every family conversation. They did not want suspicion. They did not want to wonder whether love, loyalty, and access had become tangled together. They did not want to become a small institution wearing a human body. But this is what extreme wealth can do. It solves problems so completely that it creates a new category of problems. Problems of trust. Problems of meaning. Problems of distance. Problems of being seen clearly. At the top, you can buy almost anything except the old feeling that people saw you before they saw your money. That is the final cost. Not misery. Not punishment. Just distance. A life protected from too much friction can also become protected from certain kinds of truth. So what actually changes at every level of net worth? Not just the house, not just the car, not just the menu, the account balance, the investments, or the size of the emergencies you can absorb. What changes is the amount of life that can go wrong before you have to become someone else. At the bottom, money is oxygen. You need it before you can think clearly. You need it before you can rest. You need it before tomorrow stops feeling like a threat. In the middle, money becomes proof. Proof that you are responsible. Proof that you are stable. Proof that the struggle did not win. But proof can become expensive to maintain. Higher up, money becomes armor. It protects your time. It protects your choices. It protects your family from certain shocks. But armor is still something you have to wear, and anything you wear long enough can start to feel like skin. At the highest level, money can become glass. Clear, powerful, protective, and separating. That is why net worth is not only a financial measurement. It is a measurement of distance. Distance from panic. Distance from humiliation. Distance from dependence. Distance from ordinary life. Distance from people who might have known you before. Money became part of the room. None of this means money is bad. That would be too simple. Money matters. Deeply. Anyone who has lived below zero knows that pretending money does not matter is a luxury opinion. Money can heal pressure. Money can buy time. Money can protect dignity. Money can give you the chance to become less desperate, less cornered, less easy to crush. But money does not only add, it also reveals. It reveals what fear trained into you. It reveals what status can make you protect. It reveals who approaches when you have something to give. It reveals whether freedom was your real goal or whether you only wanted a more beautiful cage. So wherever you are on the ladder, the question is not only how do I reach the next level? The deeper question is, what will I refuse to lose when I get there? Because every level gives you something, and every level asks for something back. Maybe the goal is not to worship the top. Maybe the goal is to understand the trade before you climb, to build enough oxygen that you can breathe, enough proof that you can stop performing, enough armor that life cannot crush you easily, and enough honesty that the glass never gets too thick. Because the richest version of your life is not the one with the highest number. It is the one where money no longer has to be the main character.